with myself. My name is Ayo. I'm a project manager and a scrum master. And I run at Tips and Joy. I share interview and career tips. And I've been doing this for quite a while now. I really enjoy what I do. And I thought it would be good to hear from like a HR and resume expert. I'm also a hiring manager for software developers. I mean, alongside my role. So it's good to hear from you as well. So over to you, Cassie.
Yes, so that's nice to hear that. I also work with AWS. I work with a bunch of software developers, software engineers, system engineers. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Cassie Ademola. I'm a certified human resources professional and certified resume writer. And I've been in human resources for over 12 years now, 12, 13 years. I've worked in operations, I've worked in amusement parks, I've worked in sports and entertainment, and right now I'm working in the tech side of things. I've been in tech with AWS at Amazon for about a year and a half now. It's been an exciting ride. I've also started a club with one of my partners as a co-founder for Career Queens Club on Clubhouse, has over 30,000 members. I've also worked with Indeed, and I've done live resume marathons with Indeed.com and helped hundreds of people who needed resume help. So right now I live in Seattle, Washington, from New York. I grew up in New York, and now I'm here in this state. Wow, it's beautiful. You know, the sun stays up till 10 o'clock. So right now I do have my own business called My Professional Agenda, where we help professionals launch into their career destiny with amazing career instruments. So I think I have the spirit of administration. So when it comes to resumes, I can fry it, dye it, lay it to the side, and I can position it and target it for the role that you are seeking. So as far as services, I do have a few templates.
Okay.
I'm going to give 40% off today. All the templates I have helped my clients land positions, or I've taken the information that has landed my clients' positions within 30 to 60 days. I put it on these templates. So if you're interested, I'll put the 40% off here, and you'll be good to go. But either way, that's a little bit about me, and thank you so much for having me on. I'm so grateful. To be honest with you, I'm a little shy, you know, so I don't like doing lives like that, but this is going to help me get back into the rhythm of things. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on this too. I also appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So
yes.
Just a little bit background on yourself. So what did you study like in college, or did you actually start from HR from the get-go, or you tried into it? Yeah.
No, I'm Nigerian. Of course, it was something in the medical field. Of course, it was this high school was nursing. Okay, I couldn't pass those. I mean, I tried to study so hard for those nursing exams. I would stay up all night, but I just couldn't pass it because my attention and desire wasn't for the hospital. It really wasn't for that industry, for that field. So even in college, like my first year and a half, I spent money on trying to do these nursing classes, or the prerequisites for the nursing classes. But then eventually I really started to dive into what I really wanted to do, like what was my desire to do. So then eventually, when I got into my third year, I couldn't pass those classes. I got into psychology, and I knew I wanted to help people as much as possible. And I knew I had to understand behavior concerns when it came to people. So then I got into human resources. And I just really, really studied all the core competencies when it came to HR. I'm a little nosy too. So I love a little bit of drama, like Housewives. So that really helped me align the things that I wanted to do. Plus, I knew that when it came to people, work really matters. I mean, you're spending 8 hours at work and then the rest with your family. So I just wanted to be that person that helped bridge the gap between personal and professional goals. And I saw HR did that. So I got into HR shortly after I bombed all my nursing classes. And to be honest, I'm making the same amount that nurses make, you know what I'm saying? So that is how I got into where I am now.
Well, that's nice. I mean, it's good to hear that people are following their dreams here.
Yes.
It's a good thing. And I also wanted to ask as regards like what you do now in terms like your current role. What are you basically a hiring manager, or are you in the learning and development area? What
Mhm.
HR are you in?
Well, I used to, like, earlier in my career and closer to now, I used to help source candidates. So basically, I'm a human resources business partner. So what I
Oh,
do is I work with leaders within AWS, like some of our scientists, some of our software developers, some of our senior engineers, and I help them with employee relations concerns, performance management, talent management,
all right.
and really grooming some of their junior engineers to be in these leadership roles. So I will basically call it a business partner slash generalist. I do a little bit of everything. I'm not the hiring manager, but I
Okay.
do have to look at, when there's competitive offers out there, do we really
Yeah.
want to go with this candidate? Like, do they have everything we're really looking for? Do we really want to go outside of the comp band? Do we really
Mhm.
want to offer this person these thousands and thousands of dollars more and it's outside of our budget? So I help analyze that with comp leaders there at Amazon as well. So I'm not exactly the hiring manager, but I help out the hiring
Very
manager
much.
really think about if this is the candidate that we really want to go with.
Yeah.
So,
So I also work with the HRBP, so I kind of understand your role as well.
okay.
Yeah, thanks to everyone that has joined. If you have any questions, please put it in the bottom left corner. What I also wanted to ask was, like, how can you stand out in your, like, right from the beginning here? How can you stand out with your resume? First of all, for you to even get that call to come for an interview, what are some tips that you can share? Yeah.
Mhm. Well, when it comes to a resume, one thing that I know these companies like to see is one that's not boring, one that's not lackluster. There's three different piles. Like, before it used to be these physical piles, but now that things have become electronic. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to end up in the no pile, and you don't want to end up in the maybe pile.
Uh,
Like, maybe I'll go with it. You want to end up in the yes pile, right?
yeah.
So what would allow you to get into that yes pile? Number one, your resume has to speak to the position. Like,
Mhm.
don't have things on it that have nothing to do with your target role. Look at, like, study the job description inside and out and say, can I do 70% of this work? Okay, if you can do 70% of the work, now position your resume to show that you have the impact to do that work. And that definitely evolves, right? And if you're here listening, drop a apple. Aya, what's your favorite icon?
I think the dancing one is my favorite. The girl
With the
dancing.
girl with the red dress that's
Yes,
like this?
yes, yes.
Okay, so if you're enjoying this, drop an apple or drop that lady with the red dress that's like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you want to make sure you have metrics on there, okay? Metrics are important. If your resume doesn't have any numbers, and you're going to have the recruiter do a lot of guesswork. They're going to be sitting there like, well, what does this girl do? And, or what does this guy do? And you do not want them to move on and throw you in a no pile. You have 22 seconds, and if they're really, really nice, they'll give you 27 seconds to pull at their heartstrings. So you need to show impact, you need to show value, you need to have the right keywords, and you need to have a good structure and format. Like, there's certain things you don't need on your resume any longer. Now that you've been working for 10 years, now that you've been working for 7 years, there's some things you can eliminate. You can eliminate at this point. Hey, Nkechi, how are you? I've known Nkechi since I was 6 years old. She's like
Oh, wow.
a big sister to me. Okay, so yes, you need to show value. So for example, metrics. How long did it take you to do that certain thing? Like, say for example, if you had managed a team of 7 people, and during that time of 7 people that you managed, 3 of them was promoted under your leadership, then you want to talk about that in percentages.
Mhm.
Or if there was a certain project that was done and the timeline was supposed to be due in December, but you finished it by November. You want to talk about how you were able to accomplish that project 10% ahead of schedule. See, these are things that show your individual, distinguished impact that will make you irresistible. Okay? That you
Yeah.
want to be irresistible on your resume. So those are the things I would say. Make sure you have percentages, dollar signs, numbers in people, like how many people you support or how many people you work with, how many cross-functional teams you work with. Once you start putting those numbers on there, it puts you ahead of the competition. Like, out of all the resumes I receive, like,
Mhm.
maybe 30% of them have those numbers and metrics. So with all these people, I think 4.5 million people left their jobs in March. You don't want to be in a pool of all these candidates and your resume is weak. Like it's lackluster, it's trash. You don't want your resume to be trash. You don't want your resume.
Yeah. Like I've seen many people like not sure of, some of them like, oh, I want to put my picture on my resume, or I shouldn't put my picture. What do you think about that? And honestly, I've seen some coaches actually advise that you can put your picture.
No, please don't tell me that in 2022.
Seriously.
Please don't tell me that in 2022.
Sorry, last week, so it's like recent information, yeah?
No, you don't want to put your picture. Your picture can be left for your LinkedIn profile. You know what I'm saying? And if you have any questions, you can put it in that question mark box right there, and then we can get to it. But yeah, you do not want to, you don't need a picture. You want to save that circle that you put your picture in. You want to save that space for a good impact, achievement, a bullet point, a keyword, something of value. Your face is of value for sure. I mean, everybody's face is of value. It's God made, it's God given, but let's leave that for the LinkedIn profile. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing of the past. Unless you're, I don't even know if models still use it or actors still use it on their resume.
Because I recently saw it on like some coaches, and she has good content, yeah. But I saw it there, and I'm like, people are really like on the fence. Should I? And in the comment section, I was like, should I put my picture? Should I know? And then she's like, in some countries you can, but in others.
Yeah. I was going to say maybe in a different, like maybe overseas, maybe in Europe they do that.
Yeah.
But in the United States, and even in other countries, I probably would advise, I would replace a picture with a good, effective, achievement-driven bullet point.
True. I agree.
Hey, HR. Hey, sorry.
Hello.
My HR homegirl is on there dropping tea too.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to also ask about, okay, now we've moved to like getting an interview, yeah. I think even before that, the whole ATS, how to beat the ATS, because sometimes you apply for a job and almost immediately you're rejected. So any tips on how to, get over that hoop and, actually give you the opportunity for a human being to actually review your resume?
Yeah, so that robot, I call it the applicant trashing system. But sometimes I call it the applicant trifling system because it could be so trifling to the right person for the job. But of course, thank God you have this live so we can educate as many people as possible. So the applicant tracking system is this robot that, reviews keywords, reviews information, and it has to parse through the applicant tracking system to land to the human eyes. So some things that might stop that is if you get your resume off of Canva. Canva.com. I mean, I love it for like making flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not, the resumes on there is not what's up. Like it's not going to parse through. I've actually had someone who was a recruiter show on her Instagram live what it looks like when you throw those Canva resumes in, and half of the information was missing. So you want to make sure you have a resume that's not from Canva. You have to have a resume that's applicant tracking system friendly. So the resumes that I have, let me put the code. That's 40% off. Those are applicant tracking friendly, right? So those are the ones you want to use. Now you want to make sure you have the right keywords on there. How you spell this? I'm sorry, I'm trying to spell something. As a resume writer, I still got to say words to myself. And spell it out loud to myself. So yeah, what you want to do is make sure that your resume has good keywords on there. And I like to find keywords, like I study job descriptions. So for example, if you're going for Scrum Master, or if you're going for a project manager, you need to pull 10 job descriptions for a Scrum Master, 10 job descriptions for a project manager, and study the words that keep coming up over and over and over. Or you can put it in a word cloud. You go to wordcloud.com, put those 15 job descriptions in there and see what keywords come up and sprinkle it. Don't pour it. Just sprinkle it throughout your resume if it attains to you and if it applies to you. Just don't put any keywords anyhow, but make sure you put it in a way that's effective and makes sense. So to get past that ATS system, you want to have the right keywords. Another thing I like to do with the job description a little bit with my clients is if like the first bullet point is talking about, okay, I need you to be able to work with cross-functional teams and partner with leaders on projects. Or then the second bullet point says, I need you to manage a team of 10 people. So then that's how I would structure the bullet points. Like I'll go to all my positions on my resume. The first bullet point would be about leadership. The second bullet point would be about team management. So I like to put it in the structure of the job description. So those are 3 quick ways to like get past the applicant tracking system. Applicant tracking system is 1, you know, study the job description, put a few of them in keywords. Put a few of them in word cloud, put the bullet points in the order that it is on the job description, and make sure you're sprinkling those keywords everywhere.
All right. Then there's also this applicant tracking system that I know, JobScan. I know I've used it a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it helps you to pick out the keywords from the job description, and that way you know what is really, really need, and then you can, you know, apply it here and resume. Someone asked a question about how to build confidence for an interview, especially for many people that are transitioning this time, transitioning to the tech industry, how to build that kind of confidence. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to building confidence for a job interview, first of all, you need to make sure that you really love what you do and you can't wait to express that to strangers. Like, you really have to enjoy your day-to-day. Even if you do a career change, making sure that you've done enough research in the background as far as speaking to mentors in that field or speaking to people who also transition like you, but you have to mentally and spiritually prepare yourself for it. Like you have to sit there. I know people say you got to practice, which is true, but you also got to pray about it. You need to pray as much as possible. I like to meditate before I do any type of speaking. But to build confidence is to make sure you know that industry inside and out. Exactly. Like, know that industry inside and out. And then just study the top questions that come with every single interview. You know what I'm saying? Like, the main questions, tell me about yourself. Like, if you know how to answer that tell me about yourself question in under 90 seconds, not sitting there for 50 minutes telling them about things that don't even matter. You know what I'm saying? But if you can answer that question effortlessly, like it could just come out authentically, then it sets the tone for the rest of the interview. But what I also like to do for interviewing is I like to read the job description for that interview. And I like to look at like the first and second paragraph and see what the company is really asking, what they really want from you. And I make it part of my language for the interview. So if they're looking for someone that can really hop on the team and hit the ground running, and I'll say that's what I love to do, which it is. So my tell me about myself question, I'm like, yes, I love to come into the company and really hit the ground running. So I kind of like use the information from the job description and place it as part of my lingo. You know what I'm saying? So that, you know, they can feel like I'm already part of the department. They can already feel like I'm a part of the company. So that helps me build my confidence, and plus practicing. Yeah. Practicing is very important. I think people underrate it. I think they feel like, you know, I do my job very well. You know, all the leaders love me where I'm at, but then you can't articulate it as well as you can do it. So definitely being able to, you know, to really talk. Hold on, there's 77 people in here. Ayo, you see that? Yeah. That is a lot of, I think that's the most I've ever seen on a live. That's good. That's deep. Okay, so anyway, just to build confidence, it takes a lot of practice. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of praying, being spiritually ready for that thing, and being able to say, I cannot wait to tell you what I can do to, you know, knock out this role to the next level. Yeah. So I also share those kind of tips on my page in terms of practice questions, and it really helps for me like to write things down because for example, I know the common questions. I know they're going to ask me, tell me about yourself. Like I said, I have an example on my page, and they're going to ask me this. There's some questions that are just normal. Why should we hire you? I mean, what skills are you bringing? I think writing things down for me really helps me. It helps me to it. And I like what you said as regards being spiritual, honestly, because they might pick someone over you for you. I've been on like the interview panel for a flimsy reason. So just hoping
I'm praying that, you know, you're asked the questions that you have the answers to, and you're able to
Yes.
clearly articulate it to
Mm-hmm.
to the audience here, and you know, just to gain favor. So I really like that you mentioned the spirituality aspect of it, as well as practicing. Like I said, I have so many
Mm-hmm.
interview tips and interview questions on my page. Also, having learning to overcome that imposter syndrome, especially
Yes.
when you're trying to move to a new role. You need to really research on what you're getting into, and then
Yeah.
get people that are already in that field, yeah, so they can give you more information.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks everyone joining. And we're going to jump into the questions very soon, just because of time. If you have any questions, please put it in the bottom left section. And if you're enjoying this live, you can drop a green apple or that dancing icon. Yeah.
That dancing lady with the red dress.
Yes. All right. Another person asked about the number of pages for your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have 10 years of experience or 15 years of experience. How do they, one page will definitely be too small, yeah? Is two okay, three, four? What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not 4 pages for any. I mean, I know some, like some government resumes, I've seen some that are 9 pages, 12 pages. And I know there's some CVs where you have the entire history that could be 5 pages. But you, like I said, you don't have that much time for the recruiter to be like, okay, I want this person to be called in. You have a little bit of time. So what you can do, if you have less than 5 years of experience, 1 page is enough. If you have 10, if you have a little bit over 5 years to 10 years, 1.5 pages,
Okay.
2 pages is enough. I know some people who have like 7 years, they're afraid to go to the second page. 1.5 page won't kill anybody if the content is good. Like if you have king content that is speaking to the recruiter and they're ready to flip the page to the next chapter because what you're saying or how you displayed your achievements is so delicious, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
1.5 page will not kill anybody. It won't kill anybody. Now, if you are a senior leader, if you're an executive, you've been doing this, you've been in the game for like, 15 years, you can go to 2.5, 3 pages. So right now, my resume, I think I'm at 2 pages. I think I want to keep it there. I think I want to just keep it at, it's 2 full pages too, from top to bottom of amazing information. Like the amazing on my resume is out of this world. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's someday, yeah, to see what your resume looks like.
you want me to show my resume?
If you can, I don't mind.
That is deep. Okay.
All right.
Well, you know what? If you get the HR template, that's 40% off, 30% of my information is on that resume.
Okay.
I use it. And that's the one that has gotten me into Amazon. That's the one that has helped my clients.
Okay.
So the HR resume, that's 40% off. If you put in I deserve 40, all lowercase, that's 30% of my resume.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Jump into the questions. First one is a summary necessary if you add a cover letter?
Well, I like to do a summary because it positions you in how you want to be perceived, and not all recruiters read cover letters like that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's good to just have the full package, of course.
Yeah.
It's good to have the full package, like if that applicant tracking system is over there asking you for a cover letter, it's better to just have it. And I've had hiring managers that wanted to know, just like there was in the maybe pile for me, and the hiring managers want to know a little bit more. They're like, all right, let me see the cover letter. So, but the resume is what ends up in front of the hiring manager or recruiter 100% of the time. The cover letter does not. So I like to put the professional summary, especially for executives, because you're hitting the keywords, you're showing them what you can't wait to do once you get into the company, and you're doing it in an eloquent way that will have them go to the next section of your resume. So I like doing a good 2 to 3 sentences of impactful stuff to give you a preview of what you're going to get for the rest of the resume.
Okay, that's good to hear. Another question was regards having this, for example, for companies that maybe you work in like a smaller company, do you have to give like maybe a 1-liner or 2 lines about what the company does? Do you think is necessary? Any tips on that?
You mean the
Like
companies you've worked for?
yes, especially for those that are not like big, well-known companies. Maybe I worked in, let's say, Tips and Joy Consulting. So I'm going to give like a brief description. Oh, this is an IT servicing company that does this and that. Just something brief. Do you think it's necessary or save that space for something useful?
Yeah, you could. I do that sometimes. Like I'll put, for example, if it's a small company, but they're the number one, dog shop company in the state, then I'll add that as part of the sentence. Like I was tasked to lead a company that was, the number one. I would make sure there's an achievement attached to it, not just to list it, but do some research on the information and see if it was the number one leading company in that industry, or if it is an award-winning company in that industry, or if it's the top 10 company to do this certain thing in the industry. I'll definitely put what type of industry it is and attach something meaningful to it. Like, the award-winning, most asked type of industry or company.
Provider, kind of, yeah, all those. Yeah, the next one, finding it, this is like a career question. Finding it, change careers. What are some tips for doing that?
I'm finding it hard to change careers. What are some tips for doing that? Okay, so Hey HR, she put some amazing things. If you haven't followed her, you should follow her because she's deep. But for Hey, I'm saying for Hey, if you want to change into a career, one of the first things you need to do is make sure you really want to be there. Like, make sure you've done a career SWOT analysis on yourself. So career SWOT analysis is something I try to do at least 1 to 2 times a year. So the S stands for strengths, where you're really looking at what are your core strengths, what do you do naturally, what skills are irresistible that people always come to you for. Weaknesses, like, okay, so this is what I want to do. What are my weaknesses in this area? What skills do I lack? And what trainings can I take to fill that gap as far as weaknesses? And then opportunities. So what opportunities, that's what the O stands for, is making sure that you really see what you can do to position yourself in that place you want to be. So whether it's you joining a bunch of Facebook groups that have to do with that field, whether you are finding mentors on LinkedIn, which I've done. Actually, 2 days ago, I just went through my messages. Well, some lady in HR, she messaged me like, hey girl, I'm going to send your information out to people. But then I scrolled up in our messages and I saw like in 2012, I was messaging her like crazy, asking for HR help. Like I was saying, hey, I'm new to HR. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. And she was answering everything one by one by one. And then 10 years later, she messages me like, hey, I'm going to send you information. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you've been mentoring me this whole time. So finding digital mentors online that are in that thing you want to do and that are movers and shakers in the field, and setting up like coffee chats with them, picking their brain, also having resources for them on that call, just to show that you're also someone that can be a resource to them as well. But definitely finding mentors. And then the last one is threats. So the threats is what is not allowing you to get into that thing, whether it's self-sabotaging thoughts, whether it's, I've been in this position for so long, I'm afraid to hop out of it, if it's imposter syndrome. So going through that career SWOT analysis and really seeing what you can do to take yourself to the next level for that new position. And then after that, you really have to study those job descriptions, YouTube as much as possible in that. So like people who want to get into HR, I tell them to go YouTube, Hey HR. She has a YouTube channel. She's telling you what to do step by step. Like it's self-learning, you're self-teaching. There's a lot of people in tech that are self-teaching themselves. So you have to make sure that you get in the realm of that thing, the realm of that business as much as possible. And again, be able to speak the language effortlessly. And even when you start to interview for that thing, even if you don't qualify 100%, still apply and go through those interviews as much as possible as practice, so that the one that is meant for you to have, you can land it with ease because you've done so much research. You've, done all the hard work in the background to get there. So,
yeah. I really like the SWOT analysis. I think I saw your post about the mid-year career review, and it was really helpful. Yeah. So I really liked it. The next one, is it true you must have a 7 to 10 page resume for federal government positions?
Honestly, I don't know too much about the federal government resumes now. But there is a young lady, my colleague. Her name is resumes by Neen, Byneen. So resumes by Neen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people have come to me with government resumes, but they're trying to transition into the for-profit corporate type of role. So I have taken their like 9-page resumes, 12-page resumes, and condensed it into like 2-3 pages. So I don't want to say that's what you're supposed to have, but I've
Yeah.
worked with people wanting to move backwards from it, and that's how they have come, like 9 pages, 12 pages. I think I saw somebody that was like 15 pages. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know too much about the feds. I don't want to sit here and give you random information, but you can follow this young lady here, and she has the tea. But I think she's on vacation. I think I saw her put up a sign saying that she'll be right back after these messages. So I think she put on the I put an extra E in there. I think she put a sign that she's away.
Okay. Another question. Do you still list references on your resume?
No.
No.
They haven't even considered you yet. So why are you even giving them that information? Like, they don't need to see your references yet. They first have to call you, go through the interview, then go through the hiring manager, then go through the panelists, there's so many steps that have to happen before you actually hop into giving your references. Before they're like, all right, we want to check. So what I like to do is like the templates that I have, it comes with a separate page. For your resume and your references. So definitely keep it separate. You want to keep that area on there, again, with some impactful, achievement-driven information that will remove the guesswork from the recruiters. So the references is not removing any type of guesswork. So you want to keep that separate.
Someone said, I saw a suggestion to add a link to your LinkedIn profile. Should I?
Definitely. And even if you don't add it, there's still, well, this is what I used to do. If I got a resume that didn't have a link to a LinkedIn profile, I'm still cutting and pasting your name and putting it in the search box to see if I can find you. But if you want to make it easier for me, if you want to make it seamless for the recruiters, that you have 22 seconds, you can add that link on your resume. That'll be helpful. But it's going to happen regardless. It's definitely going to happen regardless.
They're going to go check you out, yeah? Okay. Someone said, I'm a big note taker. Is it okay to take notes during the interview process?
Definitely. That's like a secret, not during the interview process. So it's like a secret weapon almost. Like, say when it's time, when the recruiter's like, well, do you have any questions for me? Or if the hiring manager's like, hey, so this is it. Do you have any questions for me before we move on to the next stages? You can definitely pull out your notebook, and as they're telling you things like, well, this is how I want you to hit the ground running. These are things that we really want this candidate to come on board and really outperform. You can bring out a notebook and start. It makes it look like you're doing something, you know what I'm saying? And it makes it look like you're serious about the role and that you're really about attention to detail. And the information that you get, you know what I'm saying? See, hey, HR, who's the HR, recruiters, I love when folks take notes, but don't let it distract you. Exactly.
Yeah.
So as your the notes that you take, you make it a part of your thank you email once you send it to the recruiters and the hiring managers 24 hours, within the 24 hours. So it is okay to take notes, but like, hey, HR said, don't let it distract you where you're missing the point and missing the questions, but, jot down a few things to help you along the way.
Okay. There's one about what are the disadvantages of stepping down into an entry-level position after being mid-level?
So are we saying that like someone got demoted, or you're choosing to take a step back?
Yeah, not sure of the details.
I mean, either way, what recruiters like to see is a progressive career story on your resume. They love to see, okay, this person is really taking their career seriously. They've been given more responsibilities. They've been able to outperform the role, and now they're able to get into the next level. So they like to read, I've been an HR assistant, HR recruiter, HR manager, HR generalist, senior HR. Like, they like to see that upward mobility and that good career success story on your resume.
Yeah.
But it depends on if you're changing careers. Like if you're going from one career to the next, then it makes sense. Maybe you had to step down to be like a tech associate coming from HR, and then you're now starting to build a different progressive career story in a different way with this new role. So I hope that's what it was, child, that you was asking.
Yeah, so the person is actually choosing to step down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, definitely. It'll be a disadvantage if you're doing this within the same industry and field. But it depends on the full background. Like we still have to hear the full story. But either way, whether you're stepping down or moving up, the goal is just to have impactful things on your resume and showing, what you can do that is above and beyond. You still have to position yourself in an excellent manner on your resume.
So someone said, tell me about yourself. Is there a chronological order in which you answered this question? So on my page, I have something for this one in terms of using the past, present, and the future, like what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you hope to achieve. And I also have an example. There's a template and an example as well. But I'd also like to hear from you. Is there any chronological order to answer the question, tell me about yourself?
Well, yeah, I use, different methods. But one of the most simple methods, because this question is what's going to set the tone for the interview. Like exactly. Once you have mastered how to do this really well, the rest of the interview can flow. This conversation can really begin of you telling your success stories. So I like to start off the tell me about yourself question. Of course, telling them about myself, number one, in a very professional manner, what I currently do. Then the next one I like to do is what I can do very well, like what expertise that I can do with excellence that speaks from the job description, what value I have to bring to the company. So I get into that next, and maybe talk about ways that I have sharpened that area and how I have outperformed that area. And my mom just joined.
Oh wow! Hello,
Mom. I only got 2 more minutes on here, so. Okay, so then I like to end it showcasing the reason why I'm sitting here. And I like to make sure I'm telling them that I align with their passions and like I've researched the company, and I can't, I'm so excited for the opportunity to be here. I see that this is your value statement to your employees. This is your mission statement. And this is where I actually want to be. So again, talking about who you are. Second, showing off your expertise and the value that you have to bring to the company, and ending it with what you cannot wait to do and why you're sitting there in the first place, where you're looking to take your career next, and how that aligns. My mom says she just woke up. What time is it over? It's almost 1 p.m. in New York. I'm sorry. And what you can't wait to align with the company. So,
yeah, I think where people also get it wrong is just saying a lot of things that do not align to like the job, like just rambling. I think that's where practice comes in here, in terms of putting your thoughts together and actually practicing to answer this question. Because I've sat down on like interview panels, and then we're chatting with each other saying, oh, this is taking too long. When is this guy going to stop? Yeah, so just keeping your answers concise, and that, especially if you ramble a lot, honestly, just try to practice and try to get things.
I had a client. I had a client where I had to make herself record herself at least 5-6 times, because she loved what she did. She loved who she was as a person, and she was letting the world know it in detail. And I'm like, we don't need that detail for the interview. Maybe once you get on the job and you create like a work friend, maybe you can talk about it there. But make sure you are keeping it very professional. You can add a little, personal piece, just one little line. But I had her record herself at least 5-6 times and send it back to me, just so I made sure she stayed within those 90 seconds, 2 minutes most, to answer that question well and authentically as possible.
Yeah. This question is about COVID hindered a lot of employment. How do you fill in the gaps in a resume impacted by COVID?
Well, the world really knows what COVID did. Like even myself, I was laid off. they let me go. Okay. And I was out of work for about maybe 6 months, which was the best thing that ever happened to me, because now, I was able to create the foundation of this business. But
Nice.
companies understand that people are going to have this career gap. And I've seen people on their resume put career gap, and put the things that they actually did during that time. So
really?
hopefully
Nice.
you're not like, allowing COVID to take over your mind, body, and spirit, and you're not upskilling in areas that you really, know there's a gap in, and you're using that time to volunteer, or maybe you are doing work and you're not considering it work. Like maybe you're taking on projects, maybe you're taking on, you're helping your friend set up a business. These are all things that can still be put in on your resumes as accomplishments. So you can still put like a section called career gap, depending on how big it is. Like if it's a year, it's not an issue for people. As if your resume is very tasty and it's very delicious, and like the other past experience is positioned so well that you're undeniable to come in, that year off might not be such an issue. But you can also put career gap on your resume and talk about the things you did that allowed you to polish yourself for this next role. So I'm really learning a lot as well, because I wasn't aware like people were already putting career gap. I think it's just an honest way to, and everybody knows what happens here. So everybody knows.
Okay, rock. So other one says, if a job requires references to be to a previous if the job requires references to be a previous supervisor, but they won't give a good one.
What did you do? You're welcome, Crystal. Me and Crystal went to college together. They won't give a good one. What did you do, Abby? What did you? Well, you can put who you want as a references, but somebody professional. Whether it's like, I wouldn't put a colleague. I'm sure they're looking for someone who's a manager or supervisor. But just give a professional reference of who is going to have your back and has really worked alongside of you and be able to show off your skills to other people. So if there is someone that for a fact you guys just didn't mesh well, I wouldn't put them down as a reference. But some companies do ask for direct managers, and they do ask for direct supervisors.
Yeah. So she said that the person was just upset that they left.
The way that they left. Like you gave in a 2 weeks notice, you did set the company up for success before leaving, and they were still upset?
Yeah, well, I think probably have to move to the next question. If you're having a career change, do you need to rework your past experiences to suit the job?
Yes, you do. You definitely do, because remember, we have to get past the applicant tracking system, which sometimes reviews keywords. And plus, once it lands in the hiring manager's lap, you have to be speaking their language, and they have to be able to be confident in you that you can do the role, even though it's a career change. So you have to look at your transferable skills. There's a lot. I think people don't notice that they have these transferable skills, but you need to lay it on your resume that can show you can do this job better than 50% of the people that is in the company right now.
Sure.
So yes, if you're going through a career change, find and really look at the job description and look at each bullet point and say, okay, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I've done that. And see how you've done it in your current role and make that your top bullet points on your resume. And even in the professional summary, you can say, if you're going from sales to HR, you can say leverage sales best practices or leverage human resources best practices. Put in those keywords for the position that you want to get into is going to be very pivotal. Again, you want the recruiters to feel at home when they're reading your resume. So put in those transferable skills in the right place. And there's an area of expertise section that lists core competencies. Make sure you're listing the core competencies that you know how to do.
Yeah.
On your resume.
Yeah, so for the job titles, what do you do? For example, I'm moving to, let's say Scrum Master, and I know, but my current role, I worked as a supervisor or something. I guess I can put the transferable skills in the, like, under the bullet points here for each role. But what of the role? Because I also hear, like, first of all, the HR rep is looking at the roles, looking to see if there's a fit with, the job they're hiring for. do you have like a slash scrum master there, even if you did something like that, but it wasn't actually named scrum master, like that wasn't the title?
Mhm.
What do you do about that? Yeah.
Well, it depends on, how much of that you did. So for example, like I've had clients who were administrative assistants, but they did a lot of HR work. Like they did a lot of HR coordination work. So
Yeah.
I would put, office manager slash human resources support, which is what they did. They've done a lot of HR things. They've done a lot of HR best practices. They've done a lot of the administrative work and compliance work with HR, and they supported the department, every single time they had a job fair or anytime they needed that help. So I would put, their actual title slash human resources support, and they need to be able to speak about their human resources support elegantly. Like, do not let the recruiter feel suspect about what you've done. So I have done that. And then I also enjoy titling my resume like it's a book. Like when you walk into Barnes and Nobles and you see the title and it just sticks out to you. So for example, at the top of your resume, you can put career target Scrum Master, so that the recruiter already knows what you're about to get into. But if you've already been in that thing, you can just put Scrum Master, but you can title your resume size 16 font and put career target semicolon Scrum Master, so the hiring managers knows what they're about to get into, or at least know where you're gearing your heart and interest towards.
Yes, yes. This has been really, really helpful.
Yeah.
The last question. Someone asked about, please, can you assist with examples of transferable skills for a career change? So I think it depends on the career, yeah?
It depends.
It depends on that, and then you can, check job descriptions for that particular role. And like I said, there's an app called JobScan. It can help you to, bring out the keywords and then see how your role aligns with that as well. Any thoughts on this? Yeah.
Definitely. You hit the nail on the head, Aya. You just have to really look at the job description and see what's transferable. You need to reach out to people who are in the same industry and get on the phone with them and hear about their day-to-day. Like, sometimes, the job description is also like a huge wish list. So you want to hop in people's DMs. You want to, entice them as much as possible when you DM them to actually give you some feedback, and hop on the phone, hop on a 15-minute call and listen to what their day-to-day is like. And if it's similar to what you have done, those can start to now become your, transferable skills. And then you ask them, how did they get into that part of it? Like, ask them, how did you become an expert in these areas? And then use their resources. They'll say, well, I took this class, or I was able to hop on this project, and start to create those passion projects in your own position as well, so you can gain more of those transferable skills.
Yeah. Wanted to ask, this is the question from me. Like, so for people hoping to do what you do, pivot into HR, work in HR in a tech company, any tips on how to follow that path?
To do HR in tech?
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got here, honestly. But just to get into HR, you really have to enjoy people. Like, you really have to enjoy dealing with certain things that have to do with someone's personal life and professional life. We're like the mother goose of it all. So you have to really understand that that's where you want to be, understand the human behavior, because at times you are tailoring your personality to deal with certain other personalities, but you have to be someone who understands the business as well and the operation as well, not just HR and what HR does. In order for you to become a true HR business partner or a true HR leader, you need to get with those leaders and understand the operation. Like, when I used to work at American Airlines Center, where the Dallas Mavericks play, I didn't watch basketball like that, but I enjoy entertainment. I enjoy when customers come to an environment and they're thrilled and excited and happy. But I didn't like basketball like that. But I had to watch these games. I had to understand if we were going to the playoffs. Like, I had to really understand the operation so I can make better decisions when it came to people goals, and really feel like the leaders had a partner in the position. So just basically getting into human resources, join these groups. There's a lot of welcoming groups on Facebook with people in human resources. Find HR mentors that can actually hold your hand through the process. Definitely look up like the homegirl that was on here, Hey HR, she has
Yeah.
step-by-step strategies on how to go to YouTube University and watch as many things as possible, and go into your current company and see if they need HR help. That's how I actually got started. I was working in accounts receivable. And then, you know, I knew for a fact I wanted to get into HR, and I went to my boss and I told him my plans, my career goals. I showed him how serious it was. And he started giving me small little HR projects here and there, like go file this, go look at the compliance of that, go do this orientation. And I did it with everything I had in me. So those are some of the steps you want to take if you want to get into HR. That's what I did. YouTube University, skills, certifications. I went to school for it. I from what I told you before, I DM'd people on LinkedIn 10 years ago, like, please help me. Yeah. Not like that, but I just let them know how I had a desire for this thing, and they was willing to help me out along the way. So, yeah.
Sorry, there are just so many questions, but we have to hard stop at 12. An immigrant, no real work experience in the US, but 5 years overall experience. Do I apply for entry positions with a graduate degree?
An immigrant, no real work experience in the US, but 5 years overall experience. Do I apply for entry level position? Yeah, you can do that. I actually have a template. Now, if you go ahead and use this code, it's 40% off of all templates, only during this time for IO.
Thank you. You guys should go and buy it.
So I have a new grad. Template, and it's for people who are new grads and with zero to little experience. So it shows you how to position your resume so that, you know, hiring managers and recruiters can still give you a chance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yes, definitely make sure your resume looks good though. Make sure you have a good story on your LinkedIn profile, because from your resume, they're going to your LinkedIn to see what else is happening in your life. So definitely position your resume with whatever experience you have that relates to the role. Still use core competencies. Have your sometimes people say put your education at the bottom, which is true, but if you are a new grad, put it at the top of your page. List out courses, like title courses that have to do with that role. If you have any projects that you worked with in graduate school, list the projects, how many people you work with, what was the outcome of that project. If you have any quotes from a professor that has to do with the role you want to get into, you can put that quote on there. I think a lot of people undermine what a quote would do for your resume. It is still an impactful statement that came from a higher up. So if you go into the link in bio, there is that new grad, and it's for people with zero to little experience that already has 2 templates positioned for you and a 40-minute presentation on how you can position yourself of authority with zero to little experience.
That's great. Yeah. So for people now that I know there's been like a couple of layoffs, like when you get to LinkedIn, layoffs here and there. Yeah. How do you stay safe? Like hoping they don't lay you off. Like what are some tips you can share to jump over that hoop? Yeah.
Well, for me, I've always been in an open relationship with all of the positions I've been in. I've never been married to any position ever. I have it's a serious open relationship too. I make sure I stay attractive. And attractive meaning I make sure my LinkedIn profile is always on point. My resume is like in my stories. I ask people like, when's the last time you updated your resume? And I'm asking because you never know what's happening. Like businesses aren't committed to people, and you shouldn't be committed as well. Like you need to go with what works with you and what aligns with the flow of where God is trying to take your life. And it requires you to be ready at all times. So to stay safe during the layoff is just to make sure all your career instruments is always aligned. Whether you're consistently practicing that tell me about yourself question, whether you're consistently looking at your resume to make sure it's top notch, and it can get past the applicant tracking system, and it will be irresistible at any time and any place, and can speak for you when you're not in the room, and also making sure your LinkedIn profile is on point, like it's decked out. And not only decked out, but you're also showing a little bit of thought leadership consistently on your LinkedIn profile, like posting engaging comments, reposting articles, just so that you can stay in the field and the realm of professionalism. So if at any point your company is like, all right, we got to do layoffs, at least you have some things in your back pocket ready to go and do what you got to do if that does happen. But we pray it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I like your staying in an open relationship. Companies are committed to themselves, not to people. That's a wonderful tip to share. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks. My name is Ayo, and with me is Cassie as well. She has a template up for 40% on the resume templates. I also share interview and career tips. So all the practice questions you want on the most common asked interview questions, you can get it on my page, and you can ask me questions as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'll save this live on my page as well and share it with you. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.